Hey guys, this is Greg Denning, and you are in the School of Awesome Sauce, where I share with you amazing stories and strategies to help you live an extraordinary life. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the School of Awesome Sauce podcast. Thanks so much for being here, man. I know you have all kinds of choices and options, things to do with your time, and I really appreciate this. Thanks for being part of the tribe. And I always consider it this tribe, right? We get together with friends and people with goals and dreams who are trying to live life to the fullest. And when we surround ourselves with people like that, man, miracles happen and the magic happens. We get things done. I want to share a little bit of kind of a big payday I had yesterday. I've been mentoring and coaching for years. Actually, I guess really over 20 years. Oh, it's been awesome and all around the world. And I'm constantly, speaking and teaching and writing and sharing ideas, making videos. And sometimes, you don't know what impact you have. And occasionally, well, way more than occasionally now. I get a lot more now, and it just keeps increasing. But I'll get notes, I'll get videos or messages or emails from people about things that have happened. And yesterday was one of those awesome days where I got a few emails and messages the same day, and some of them were coming from I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I run a school, what I call the School of Awesome Sauce, and it's our monthly mentoring program, where you just pay a small monthly fee. I mean, you make it so cheap. It's a no-brainer to get in there. We do live training and then recorded trainings, and it's the key for a breakthrough and a success. Because in order to have any kind of breakthrough, in order to really make a transformation in our lives, we have to have a mentor and we have to have a tribe. We've got to have that support group, got to have people behind us, and we got to have someone kind of leading the way for us. And that's why we created the School of Awesome Sauce. But we do these challenges. And inside this challenge, it's a 28-day challenge. We got inspiration every day. We got challenges every day. We're tracking it. We're going through our epic life planner together, and we're just making things happen. And you guys, it has been so rewarding and so exciting to hear the changes, the transformations that are happening in the lives of the people inside of our community there. Just from they hadn't allowed themselves to dream, and haven't given themselves permission to make big changes in their lives, and already just tracking it, getting clarity in their vision, setting big goals, and getting consistency in it. Oh, I mean, massive things are changing. It's so cool. And then I was feeling fantastic. Those are the paydays, right? When you hear about the changes that are happening in marriages and interaction with children. And just people going from feeling stuck and trapped in kind of a humdrum, boring existence to literally creating the lives of their dreams and having these huge successes, and then coming back and being like, thank you so much for inspiring us, right? It's just huge payday. And then I got a phone call. And it was a phone call from somebody who had interacted with one of my somebody who follows me and is kind of engaged with me, right? And they just told a special, heart-touching story that this person had been in a tough spot, almost on the verge of ending life, and had been in a hard place, and had been inspired and motivated and encouraged by the things I taught. And oh man, you guys, it's just payday. It's just because that's why I do it. That's why I do what I do. Because it matters, man. I want to change lives. I want to inspire and motivate and encourage people, help ordinary families live extraordinary lives, because it's totally possible, right? Awesome is always an option, and we just got to have the tools and strategies and the motivation, the help and support to get it done. So I don't know. I just want to share that. It's been in my heart and soul, and my mind, and just feeling so grateful for the privilege and opportunity to connect with such awesome people like you around the world, and to share my story and my message, things I've learned and that have worked for me and worked for so many other people. That's just literally changing lives, man. It's awesome. But today's podcast is all about energy, my friends, energy, because time We often say time is our most valuable resource, and indeed it is, because we can't save it, we can't invest it, you can't hold it off for later, you can't go back and reuse it. Once it's gone, it is gone, and it is so precious. But there's another paradigm, and it's around energy. And yes, we need to manage our time, and we need to get really good at that. But time is a limited resource where energy is not. There's nothing holding us back except ourselves in the quality and quantity of energy that we have in life. Energy that we can bring to every part of our lives, to our education, our relationships, our marriage, our family, our parenting, our exercise, our businesses, our humanitarian efforts, our community efforts, our leadership. Like, we bring energy, and energy makes such a huge difference. In fact, literally every thought, emotion, and action has an energy consequence, right? There's no thought, no emotion, or no action that is void of an energy consequence. Let that sink in, right? Boom! Whoa! And so this is huge. And a lot of us are either just kind of dragging ourselves through life. We just feel so drained. Or sometimes we have a toxic or negative energy. Or kind of a flatlining energy. You guys ever felt like you're just flatlining? Just kind of going along through life and just no excitement, no pulse. It's just day in and day out going through the motions and the grind of it. And one of the key ingredients to transforming our lives and living an extraordinary life is to learn how to manage our energy and maximize it, right? Because literally, you guys, we are generators. And generators don't have energy, they generate it, they create it. And we have that same privilege and power, but most of us, and many of us unconsciously, are just tanking our own energy level. So let me tell the story here. I mean, all this talk here, but let me tell the story. So I'm 16 years old, I'm out on my own, and life is hard, right? I'm struggling. I'm living in a place that's not very exciting. It's not very happy. To say the least, this is not one of those places you're like, yeah, that was the dream life. I was not living the dream life. I was lonely most of the time, still frustrated and angry about things that had happened to me, things that were happening to me, just the challenges of trying to survive, trying to pay for my own way and trying to overcome my own weaknesses and struggles. And life was hard. And luckily, I turned to exercise and fitness as my outlet. I was surrounded by people who were turning to drugs and turning to alcohol and turning to sex and turning to violence and crime. And fortunately, as a 16-year-old young man, I saw right away where each of those paths lead. And I realized, like, I don't want to go down that road. Like, I don't want anything to do with that. And so I avoided all of those things because I saw the end result. I could see clearly, like, those who were turning to that to try to drown out their problems or as a response mechanism or an avoidance or fear or whatever it was they were turning to, at the end, it wasn't helping them. And so I'm like, I'm not doing that. And so I turned to weights, lifting weights and martial arts and just real fitness. And that was my outlet. Little did I know that that's actually a psychological and emotional therapy to do intense workouts. And it was just a great outlet for me. And it helped me process those emotions and feelings and thoughts. But it also got me into fitness and I wanted to succeed at it. And I started to get some gains. As you can imagine, right? I'm a young man just going in angry every time. I was getting great workouts. And so I was starting to get some results. And so I started studying. I think, I want to be really good at this. And so I studied and I was learning everything I could about health and fitness. So I'm reading all the health and fitness magazines. And I came across an article one day. I even had gotten a little job at a gym so I could work out for free. It was awesome. So I'm sitting in the gym one day, nobody coming in. I pick up a magazine, and they're like, look, you got to eliminate sugars and junk food from your diet because it's literally sabotaging your efforts to get in shape. Like you eat this junk, and that's your body's fuel. And if you put this junk in your body, then it's really counteracting all your effort in the gym. And for some reason that just hit me like, oh man, yeah. Like here I am, I'm trying so hard to work out and putting these hard workouts, and then I go eat this junk. It's just counteracting what I'm doing. And it talked about like soda and, ice cream and desserts and sugary stuff and flours and salts, all those things. So I started researching that, and I made a decision. I was 16, 17 around the time. I think I was turning 17. And I thought, you know what? I'm going for it. I'm just going hardcore here. I am eliminating soda and carbonated and caffeinated drinks from my life, because I realized it was like just sugar water, man. And so I'm like, those are out. And I could pound like a 2-liter Dr. Pepper at this time. And I was eating, well, when I had the money, which was rare, and I'd eat like a half gallon of mint chocolate chip ice cream. I'm like, you know what? No more. I'm done. I'm done with the desserts. I'm done with the ice cream. I'm done with sugars, the refined sugars and junk food. I'm out. I'm done. And I made that decision around 17, and for the most part, I've stuck to that until today. And like for the first couple of years, it was really hard. Like this temptation, I was exercising willpower. Like, oh, don't take a bite of that. Don't drink it. Oh, and really it took some effort. But then eventually it became a habit and a way of being, and now it's easy for me. Just like, nah, I don't want that, and just walk away from the desserts and the junk, and I'll make healthy desserts, and I'll make my own ice cream. And we have healthy treats that I know all the ingredients and have natural sweeteners and just a little bit of it. And it was this huge shift. And so, like at 17 years old, I make this decision to exercise vigorously and hard, to totally change my diet and eliminate all the junk. And little did I know at that time what I learned many years later in the research that backed it up. I came across a book, you guys, called The Power of Full Engagement. It is phenomenal. And basically, it's all the research that now backed up the decisions I started making when I was 17. And it ramped up my energy levels. And I'm a super high energy guy, as you can probably hear and tell. If you watch my videos or anything, I'm just high energy all the time. And this isn't what I do for the podcast or for the videos. I'm like this. I'm on. Like I get up and I turn it on and I'm on. And I love my downtime, my low time. I love reading quietly and meditating and having quiet alone time. But I also love to be with people and be energized and alive and just feel the excitement and energy of life. And part of this was there was physical things that I did, high intensity exercise, eliminating the sugars and the junks and the carbonation. And then they go into the research big time of how tobacco and alcohol and caffeine become these, like, we get dependent on them, and we start having these crashes, right? Where it'll spike you and then you crash. Sugar does it, and coffee does it, and caffeine, and those caffeine drinks. So we get these spikes, right? But then we crash afterwards. And all the research, like, you got to get a good sustainable diet in. Like, it literally is fuel. And even what's interesting is they realize that we need low glycemic foods. So even if you get up in the morning and you like have an orange juice and a bagel, you think that's healthy. But what happens is those are kind of simple sugars, and so it gives you a little boost, but it's almost gone in a short time, and then you're dragging again before lunch. And so they set it up to where you want multiple meals throughout the day, and then healthy snacks in between those meals, and you're just getting good, steady food and fuel for your body. So that's the physical side of it, right? And of course, good sleep. You don't necessarily have to, in my experience, and I know there's a bunch of different research out there, but in my experience, I don't need 8 or 10 hours of sleep. Every once in a while I do, but for the most part, I'm rolling on 5, 6, 7 hours. And I can do that when I stay in phenomenal shape and I eat well. If I get out of shape a little bit or my diet isn't as good, I feel the effects of it. But literally, you guys, there's this beautiful recipe to tons of energy. And then that's just the physical side of it. And then emotionally and spiritually, the vast majority of us have massive, untapped reservoirs of energy. And when we can learn to tap into those things, it's incredible. Like, and you've probably all experienced this in some way or another, where you're feeling just kind of down, you're dragging, you're just barely hanging on to stay awake. And then you get some news. Somebody comes in and says, hey, guess what happened? And whoom, this burst of energy and excitement. Or you have some other kind of experience that's just this catalyst and brings out this massive reserve of emotional or spiritual energy. And there are ways that we can tap into that. And so literally, and this is the research from the book, is physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. Those 4 areas, and how there are energy resources in each of those. And interestingly, how we as people, the majority of us, are neglecting each of those areas. And that if we can align our lives physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and we can set up rituals and practices around those things, like, we can tap into energy resources on every one of them. And then you guys think about that. What would your life be like if you had 3 times or 5 times or 10 times the amount of energy you currently have? Right? Woo! I love it. Right? And it, having these energy levels has made the most drastic difference in my life, because I can bring energy. I can bring it now to my interaction with my children and my engagement with making videos and podcasts and coaching and serving and trying to make a difference and solve problems and face challenges in life, right? If we can bring the energy to that stuff, even in just accomplishing your to-do list or the tasks you have, right? You sit down at work and you have these things you need to do. What would your work experience be like? Or if you're at home and you're trying to raise kids and educate them, what's that experience going to be like if you have 3 or 5 times the energy you currently do? It's massive. And it makes such a huge difference. And so it actually raises the quality and the effectiveness of each of our experiences and our interactions. It's so powerful. And so I started doing these things. And I was journaling. Like, this goes with the emotional and mental and spiritual. Like, I was journaling at this time. I was processing all my pain and hurt and trying to get rid of the grudges and the bitterness and the anger that was in there. I was processing through that and letting those things out. And it's fascinating how much, if we're hanging on to a grudge or we're bitter or angry, how much that actually tanks our energy levels in a huge way. And when I just forgave, you guys, when I just decided, you know what? Bitterness is a poison that you swallow hoping your enemy will die. That's a quote from someone else that I learned. Bitterness is a poison you swallow hoping your enemy will die. And I let go of the poison, and I let go of the anger and the hatred, and I just forgave. And in your mind you're like, but they don't deserve forgiveness. But what's interesting, my friends, is forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. And it's, in a lot of ways, it's for you. And when I could forgive, and when I could process my limiting beliefs and my own insecurities, you see how this is all pulling out? It pulls out the emotional and the psychological and the spiritual. And I was setting up these routines and these rituals and these habits, reading great books, aligning my life with all these priorities, making better and better decisions, and really trying to work on improving myself. I was able to tap into these energy sources, and I've had tons of energy for a lot of years, and I'm going to stay with it, man. I'm planning on zooming past 100 and still being high energy. I want to be the guy up in his 80s and 90s still up trekking in the mountains, man. That's the kind of life I want to live, and we can bring energy. So think through that. And this is my challenge. This is that changed me. And I've kept that commitment, and it's made all the difference in my life. And people are constantly asking, like, how do you have so much energy? How can I have more energy? How can I feel better? Because we're all, not all, but many of us are operating in like perpetual self-sabotage. Without really knowing what we're doing, we have set up these habits and rituals and routines that are actually tanking our energy and draining it. And so we're walking around all feeling empty and depleted. And we're just dragging ourselves through life saying, man, why is it so hard? Why do I feel so terrible? Why isn't this working? And we feel these voids emotionally and spiritually and psychologically. And so we can literally set up these little routines, these habits and patterns that will bring so much energy. So what's one thing you could do in each of those areas starting today? Physically, what's something you can do physically to improve your energy? What's a new habit that you could create, either around food, the fuel you're putting in your body, or around exercise, movement? What's a mental habit? What are you consuming on a regular basis? I've found that so many people are consuming negative input, like in the news or social media or movies or music or whatever, and that has an energy, and it brings an energy, it affects your own energy. So what could you do mentally? What could you read or study or consume or exercise your mind? Emotionally, what can you do to process those? To let go of the anger or the bitterness or the grudge. Just kind of let some of those emotions that have been bottled up and are festering there, the wounds, just kind of let those go. And once we just let those go, and again, you're like, oh, how can I do that? It's a choice. We can just let it come out, and we can write about it, and we can kind of talk about it, and we can just let it out and let it go. And all of a sudden, you'll feel this emotional energy surge into your life. It's incredible. Like literally that, I remember the days when I just decided, no, I'm done. I'm done carrying that burden. I'm letting go. And then spiritually, we're all spiritual beings. I'm not talking about religion here. I'm talking about spirituality. We're all spiritual beings, and we need to align our lives with our values and our own spirituality. And some of those practices, from mindfulness or meditation or being in nature or some kind of worship, some kind of religious worship. But how can we nurture that spiritual side of us? So just my invitation to you guys, pick one thing in each of those areas, write it down, and let's go for it. Share it in the comments. Share what you're doing. Share your practices. What has worked for you? What new goals you want to do? How do you want to make this happen so we can turn it on? Just turn it on and get the energy levels that we all deserve. And this is one of the main things, you guys. Like everything I do in my coaching and in the School of Awesome Sauce, it's all holistic. And holistic meaning the whole thing, the whole life. Because even with those 4 levels of energy, if we're off on 1 or 2 of them, look how unbalanced we are. And so we can be doing really well in an area or 2, but if we're off on the others, we get so out of balance, and it makes us fall over in life. And so everything's holistic, and we dive into this. And so when we're going through the challenges, and when I'm doing my trainings and mentoring and the coaching calls, man, it's all about nailing these things and these energy levels and making sure that we're alive, energized, and really living on all levels. Because you guys, there's so many people who are still alive but aren't really living. They're still alive, but they aren't really living. And we want to be alive. We want to be living life every single day. Can we show up for ourselves and for the people who need us just to bring it, right? Awesome is always an option. Reach upward, my friends. Get out, make this happen, and watch, man. Rack up the energy levels there. Turn it up 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, and watch what happens in your life. You guys are awesome. Love you. Thanks for listening. Reach upward. Hey everybody, thanks so much for listening to this episode. I hope you got a lot of value out of it and found some things that you can apply to your life right away. Hey, I'm being totally sincere when I say I live to help you live your extraordinary life. So I hope you'll reach out to me if you have any questions, or let me know how I can help you in any important area of your life. And in fact, this podcast is brought to you by the School of Awesome Sauce monthly coaching program. Take advantage of that. Get in there. It's the best way to get a breakthrough to the next level so you can level up your health, your spirituality, your emotions, your mind, your relationships, your finances, business, every part of your life. Just get in there where you have a coach and a mentor, you have a supportive community to make things happen. So jump in there, take advantage of this, try it out, get in there with us, and level up your life. See you on the inside. Reach upward.